Okay, today is March 14th, Thursday, and we are continuing on with Eureka Math Module 4, Lesson 26. Today, because we have a sub, you are going to be watching this video to help you learn today's math content, which is a little bit different than what we normally do. So I'm going to ask you to please pause the video as you go to take notes in your math notebook, making sure you give yourself enough time to take notes and write down all the important information. Feel free to pause as you go along, okay? So our learning goal today is to, I can divide a unit fraction by a whole number. Now, take a note and notice how this is the opposite of what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we learned how to divide a whole number by a unit fraction, and today we're doing the opposite. We're going to learn how to use pictures and numbers to help us understand how to divide a unit fraction by a whole number. Another reminder I have for you is that a unit fraction is one unit of any unit. So 1/2, 1/3, 1/16, etc. Okay, very good. Now, you should have gone over the problem of the day with the substitute, but in case you haven't, please take some time right now to challenge yourself, review what you learned in the past, and solve this problem of the day. If you already did it as a class, go ahead and move on to the next slide. Today we're going to be thinking about Nolan and how he wants to share brownies with his friends. Okay, so Nolan gives some brownies to his 3 friends to share equally. So Nolan's not selfish. He's not going to eat any of the brownies himself. He's just going to share it with 3 friends. So the scenario number 1 says if he has 3 pans of brownies to share all together, how many pans of brownies will each friend receive? Well, let's draw a picture to show what that might look like. Here's 1 pan of brownies, 2 pans of brownies, and 3 pans of brownies. Because we know we want to share this with 3 friends, we have to split the brownies equally into 3 groups. So there's 1 group, there's a second group, and there's a third group. So you can see in each group, each friend will receive 1 brownie. Here's a quick reminder to remind you to pause the video frequently so that you can be catching up and taking good math notes in your math notebook. Next, it says if this time Nolan only has 1 pan of brownies. Okay, so here's his 1 pan of brownies, but he wants to still share it with each friend, with 3 different friends. So he has to split the brownie pan into 3 equal parts. This is what the first friend will receive, here's what the second friend will receive, and here's what the third friend will receive. Okay, so each friend will only receive a fraction this time of the entire pan, and they will receive 1 out of a total of 3 parts. So each friend will receive 1/3 of a pan of brownies. Nolan still is sharing brownies with his 3 friends. This time the question says if he has half a pan of brownies, how many pans of brownies will each friend receive? Well, we have half a pan, so he doesn't have a whole pan this time. He only has half a pan. Okay, and we can, of course, label this as 1/2 of a pan. And he has to split that pan equally into 3 equal slices, and 1 friend can receive this. So you can see each friend will receive 1 portion, and now my entire pan of brownies, my entire unit, has been divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So each of the 3 friends will receive 1/6 of the pan. Here's a reminder again, pause frequently, make sure you're keeping up with the math notes. Okay, now, this time Nolan has 1/3 of a pan of brownies. So he doesn't have an entire pan of brownies, he only has 1/3. Let's go ahead and split that pan into thirds and show that this is 1/3 of a pan of brownies. He still has to split that 1/3 into 3 different pieces because he wants to share it with 3 friends. So you can see 1 friend would receive this much, the second friend would receive this much, and the third friend would receive this much. Each friend will receive 1 piece out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've now split the entire pan into ninths. So in this scenario, each friend will receive 1/9 of the pan. You can see what we're doing here is really dividing a unit fraction by a whole number. In the top scenario, Nolan had 1/2 of a pan of brownies, and he wanted to divide it into 3 equal portions. And so the answer to 1/2 divided by 3 was 1/6. In the second scenario, Nolan had 1/3 of a pan of brownies, and he again wanted to divide it into 3 equal portions, so 1/3 divided by 3. And we saw in our picture that that equaled to 1/9. Here we are dividing a unit fraction by a whole number. Once again, that's a unit fraction divided by a whole number. Now I want to show you how we might use a tape diagram to help us think about this as well. In this problem, we have 1/5 divided by 2. Again, unit fraction divided by a whole number. We have 1/5, and we want to divide it into 2 equal portions. So on my tape diagram, I've drawn one whole unit here, and I've split it into fifths. And I've labeled and shown that this much right here is 1/5 of the entire unit. If I want to split that into 2 equal sized portions, I would be splitting that exactly in half, and this is the portion that I would be dealing with. Now I know that's 1, but out of how many? Well, I would go ahead and divide all of these fifths by half as well. And I can see altogether there are 10. I've now divided my unit into tenths. So half of 1/5 is what I made. That's the same as 1/5 divided by 2. Another way I can think about this is I can think about unit form. 1/5 can be written as 1/5 divided by 2. Now, if I want to rename 1/5, I could think of it as 2/10, because if I have 2 of my units, if 2 is in my numerator, it'll make it a lot easier to divide by 2, right? Because 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 2/10, another way to write 1/5 is to write 2/10. And I can think, well, 2/10 divided by 2 is 1/10, which again brings me back to my answer. 1/5 divided by 2 is 1/10. Let's try this with a word problem. If Melanie pours half a liter of water into 4 bottles, putting an equal amount in each, how many liters of water will be in each bottle? Take some time right now, pause the video, and see if you can read the problem and figure out what the question is asking and the important information. Okay, the question is asking us to figure out how many liters of water will be in each bottle. And we need to know that all together we have half a liter, and it's being shared equally into 4 bottles. Now pause again and see if you can draw a tape diagram that shows this scenario. To draw a tape diagram, we start by drawing all the water that we have. We can label it as half a liter. Okay, and we know we want to split it equally into 4 bottles. And so we want to find out how much is in this portion, this one bottle. See if you can write an equation that would show this. Well, an equation that would show this is 1/2 of liter of water is what we have all together, and we want to divide it into 4 equal-sized portions. So our equation is 1/2 divided by 4. Now today we've learned 3 different ways we could show this. One is by drawing a rectangular fraction model. If this is 1 liter of water, this right here is 1/2 of a liter. I have to divide that half into 4 equal-sized sections. And so 1 bottle, right, I can show that this is 1/4. So 1 bottle would be 1 out of a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 units. So 1/8 of a liter. Another way to show this is by thinking about unit form. If we have 1/2, I could write 1/2 like this, divided by 4. That's the same as our original equation, 1/2 divided by 4. But, you know, 1 of a unit is harder to divide into fourths. If I have 4 units, that would be a lot easier to divide into fourths. So I can think to myself, well, 1/2 is equal to 4 somethings. Well, to get from 1 to 4 in the numerator, I multiply by 4. So therefore, I can also have to multiply by 4 in the denominator. So therefore, 1/2 is equivalent to 4/8. So instead of writing 1/2 divided by 4, I could write 4/8 divided by 4. Well, then I can think 4 divided by 4 is 1, and my units are eighths. So 1/2 divided by 4 is equal to 4/8 divided by 4, which is 1/8, which again is the answer we get. So therefore, 1/2 divided by 4 is 1/8. And going back to my question, how many liters of water will be in each bottle? The answer is 1/8 of a liter. Now that we've gone through today's lesson, lesson 26, module 4 in 5th grade Eureka Math, I want you to please do the following problems in lesson 26 problem set. Number 1, A and B, 2A, C, F, and H, and number 3. When you are done, please get an exit ticket and turn it into the tray, and then, of course, you can continue working on extra practice problems. If you have any questions about this concept, please ask your substitute, or please ask me when I come back tomorrow. Another option, of course, is always to consult Zern. Good luck, and thank you for taking great math notes.